Welcome to the Knox Soccer Podcast, where we tell the soccer stories of our favorite big town, little city, Knoxville, Tennessee, and around the world. I'm Patrick Teasdale.
And I'm Brian Canever.
On this episode, we've got the big man up top, Kempes Tekiela, or Kempes Patron Tequila. We'll get to the bottom of this one. From the now 10-match undefeated One Knoxville SC. Brian, I will say, when I saw Kempes play this past Saturday, we were both there with the families. He looked bigger and badder than he first arrived. Whatever his workout regimen is, we got to get on this one. So, have you stole his WOD yet? His workout of the day yet? And got on the Kempes plan?
I haven't, but we were actually waiting for Kempes to start because he was actually in the gym right before this. So I know I'm not usually at the gym at 8:30 p.m. That's usually when the kids go down, and then I usually go down right after that. So maybe that's the key, getting that like a late session in. But we'll figure it out, Patty. It probably helps being 6'2", which neither of us are.
That's very true.
We're a whopping 5'8", 5'9". So, Patty, you mentioned the asterisk before, and that's because One Knoxville is on a 10-match unbeaten run. The only loss was to Lexington in PKs, but those don't count. That's a tie, right? So, if you lose in PKs, it's always a tie. So the last time they lost was in June against Greenville, and since that, we've seen the emergence of Kempes, our guest for today. On Saturday, he scored the penalty kick after the team went down 1-0 to a goal from Gabriel Obertan, if anybody remembers, the former Man United striker, Frenchman, who is playing in Charlotte. He's been in Charlotte for 3 seasons, scored at the tail end of the first half. Second half, off of what I talked to some of our friends in the scruffs, and I saw the foul at the edge of the box, and I was like, oh, that's a great free kick for Frank Ross. And then suddenly Kempes takes the ball and it's a PK. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to argue against it.
Nope.
No. I want my team to win no matter how they win. So I was like, that's great. And we'll get into some of the stats here in a second. Patty, it was my first time in like 3 or 4 months with all 3 kids because of how hot it's been and the fact that we've had these late summer games right before bedtime. How did you and little James, who I believe is named after James E. Thomas, how did you enjoy the match?
I was pointing now James E. Thomas every single time, just being like, that's who you're named after, and we're rooting for number 16. James Teasdale really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is your first match. And no, we went to one of the first of the season when in sub-zero temperature, so long ago. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was great to see a lot of families out there. Both of the hills were packed. And then also just to see I would say maybe a refreshed team out on the fields, just with, I guess, formation and life and whatnot. And we can get all into that. So Brian, without further ado, let's welcome Kempes to the pod.
All right. I'm going to give a short introduction to our guest. If you are listeners of our podcast and you don't know him, I would be surprised because his name has made all the headlines over the past 2 months for One Knoxville. Kempes Tekiela, Polish surname. For those of you who were trying to figure it out, we figured it out. It's a Polish last name. Kempes has Polish dad, Czech mom, born and raised in Germany. First season with One Knox. He's started 10 games, has 9 league goals, plus 2 goals in that U.S. Open Cup game. By far, he's already the historic leading goal scorer for One Knox in its 2 seasons in USL League One. So last season, I think our leading goal scorer, Jay Keegan, scored 6 goals, over like 20-something matches. So Kempes has already beat that and has more than half the goals for the team. Our listeners know One Knoxville has struggled to score goals in the past 2 seasons, 18 league goals this season. Kempes has 9 of them already. He scored in the last 3 league games against Charlotte, Spokane, and Chattanooga. I find myself kind of endeared to Kempes because his first name is the name of the first great Argentine soccer hero, Mario Kempes, who helped Argentina to the 1978 World Cup. So before Messi and before Maradona, there was Mario Kempes. Kempes, you are from, I'm going to mispronounce this, Iserlohn, Germany.
Yes, Iserlohn. No, it's good. It's Iserlohn. Yeah.
So what I read is there's not a lot of footballers from your hometown. It's more of an ice hockey town.
Yes.
Place that's just under 100,000 people, kind of similar to Knoxville. So how do you wind up playing soccer being from a place like that?
In Iserlohn, it's a smaller town. It's like 25 minutes to Dortmund. And my dad always of course, my dad played football when he was younger, and he always he supports Bayer Leverkusen, and he wanted me to be a Bayer Leverkusen fan all the time. He I don't know if you remember the player C. Roberto. He played in Leverkusen and then in Bayern, and he always loved him. And that's how I came to football. He was always with me with the ball. And, of course, when you start with 4 years old, I was, playing in a club named Tornado Vestig. It's like a very, very small club. It's a non-league club. I was starting there with 4, then played there for 4 or 5 years. And, it was crazy because, we had a game, and there was a scout from Dortmund coming, but he was there because he was watching 2 other guys from the other team. And, in that game, imagine I was 8 years old, 8 years old. And we lost 4-1, but I scored the goal and I made a good game, and I had a good game, but we lost 4-1. And this guy talks to my dad and said, yeah, we want Kempes and Borussia Dortmund. And I was like, wow, I can't leave. For me, it was a big step. I mean, it's just half an hour, but for me, it was I have to go to another town. I was 8 years old. I didn't want to leave, my family and my friends, because all I knew was just Iserlohn, this small town. But that's how I came to the professionals very, very quickly. And then, of course, we always drove from Iserlohn to Dortmund every day. It was a little bit difficult for my mom, and my dad, because when I was 6, 7, they was not together anymore. And, my dad had work all the time. He couldn't drive me, and my mom, she had literally nothing anymore. So I was always driving with my coach, and he was that was good for me. The coach, was living 15 minutes from me, and I was always driving with him when I was 8 and 9. And that's how I had to learn quickly, how the football world is, how the professional level is, because, in Dortmund, in the, under 10s, under 11s, under 12, I played to the under 14s. It's always you have to be good at school. Otherwise, they will look at your grades as well. Otherwise you will not train. You have to take classes then. But for me, it was never the case. I was always good in school. That was good. But that's how I, progressed professional football. And then from there, from this moment where I not signed, but when I joined Dortmund, it was clear I was always going this one route, just plan A and no plan B. And I wanted to be a professional footballer.
It's fun. It's funny you mentioned that, Kempes, because my family is Argentinian, and so I grew up with a very Argentinian perspective of soccer, and so it was very weird growing up playing in America, where the culture of soccer is so different, and the organization, youth soccer, is very different. And so I always bring up. I was listening to an interview, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, with Maxi Rodriguez, who scored that beautiful goal against Mexico in the 2006 World Cup. He played professionally for Liverpool. He's from my family's home city in Argentina, Rosario. And he gave this interview where they're asking him, Maxi, what was your life like growing up and playing soccer? And he said, he's I started playing when I was 4. I played for a local club. I had fun with my friends, but then, there comes a time where you have to be really serious. If you're going to be a professional, you have to be really serious. No fun in games. And so when I was 8 years old, that was the time. And in America, most kids don't even play soccer before 8 years old, like kids are going pro here at 22, 23 years old. It's very different culture. So you played in Germany. You were with Borussia Dortmund, reserve side Borussia Dortmund 2 for a couple of years. You also played in the Danish second division for
Esbjerg.
That's exactly how I was going to say, Esbjerg. And then you were in Luxembourg last at Union Titus
Pétange.
That's how I was going to Union Titus Pétange in Luxembourg in First Division, 20 goals in 36 league games. And that's where we snatch you up from. This team, this third division team, it's only been in existence for 3 years. The first year of One Knoxville was an amateur year. So this little place, which I'm sure you've never heard of Knoxville, Tennessee before. How does that happen? How do you go from, playing in Luxembourg and, having this background playing for one of Germany's biggest teams as a youth player to like coming overseas to Knoxville, Tennessee and playing for this club?
Yeah, it was funny. It was a little bit random, but to be honest, when I first came to Luxembourg, it was before the Esbjerg time. There I played in the Europa League qualification. It was another club. That club was Progrès Niederkorn. And I always wanted to take that as a step, the Luxembourgish league, and play at these higher levels to maybe go for me fully I am fully professional, but for me to take the next step to be like, let's say a star, but I don't want to use that word, but for me to go like one step higher where I am, but that didn't work out. But the coach where I was going to Esbjerg and he took me with him. But then I had a tough time there. I had a tough time in Esbjerg, because he was fired after 2 months and then I didn't play there anymore. And I was like about to quit. I was like, why is it not working? And, I was, in a bad mood there. But then I was just like, okay, the Luxembourgish league knows me. Maybe I'll just come back to have fun at football again. I want to just play. I want to be on the pitch again. And, then there was a coach, who, played against me actually when I was in Luxembourg the time before. Then he became coach. It was nice. He was, 6 and I was a 10 and we actually played against each other. But then he became coach for Union Titus Pétange. And, he signed me straight away. And he said, if you come here, we will build the whole team around you. And, if you have a coach who trusts in you like that, it's different. You play completely free and everything works out. And I just came back from never playing to scoring 20 goals a season. And, after that season, I thought, okay, now there had to be some clubs who wants me. There had to be some clubs at a higher level. But then my agent, he said, because literally I was injured right before the end of the season. I had something that was not complete, like something with my ACL that was not completely ruptured, but it was a little bit strained. I was out for 3-4 months and it was the last day of the season. That was crazy. It was the last game. And then, he said to all the clubs that I can't come there for tryouts or I can't go there. They have to sign me. But for me, it was, I have 20 goals. Of course they had to sign me. But then, I had this agent for like 4 years and it was never going further. And I was a little bit frustrated because of that. So I came back, then in August, I think. August or September, I don't know. I don't remember actually. We was at the bottom of the league then because the next season started, like, in Europe, the season always started in summer. And we was like, I think from 12 or 13 teams, we was like 11, 12. So it was not going well. So then I came back and, to December, we was like 5th place. So everything worked now good again. I just got 3 goals, but the coach needed me as an 8 now. And since I played as an 8, everything worked better. And then it was the time where the winter break is, and I was not looking for a move now, because normally the season goes to the summer. But a random agent, it's happening all the time to players, that random agents just write you on Instagram and say like, I want you in my agency, and I always say yes, just go talk to my agent if you want to, and then they never talk to him. But this agent, he texted me and he said, okay, I'm going to talk to your agent. I want you in my agency. And I thought, there's nothing I have to lose anymore. I tried with my agent all the time. I was like being honest with him, but he didn't make anything. I was literally having 20 goals, and I was like, what do I have to do? What do I have more to do? Like, I didn't know. But then this agent, he said, okay, I'm going to talk to your agent. And then they both talked to each other. And he was saying to my agent, he's in Luxembourg, yes, I want Kempes in my agency. I want him, I want to sign with him for 2 years, but I don't even know him. And he said, if you want Kempes, bring something to the table. And he can't sign if he doesn't know you. What you mean? He just signed with you. And he said, okay, if I'm bringing something, or if you bring in something, then we can talk. We can work something out together. But this agent, he said, nah, I just calling you out of respect for Kempes, but I want you to know I want him in my agency. So then we thought, okay, now he's never coming back again. After 1.5 to 2 weeks, he's calling me. He said, there's a club in America called One Knoxville SC. They want you. And I was like, what you mean? And then that's how I came to One Knox, because this agent, he's from England, but he has like 2 partners. There's like one in England, one in Sweden, and one here in America. And the one in America, he played here as well. And he knows a lot of guys here. He has a lot of contacts, and he knows the coach, Markman. And yeah, that's how they brought me here. Then Mark, the coach, was looking at my games. He said he sat down for one day and he just watched all of my videos, and he said, yeah, I want this guy. And for me, to be honest, since I was a little kid, I always watched a lot of movies, a lot of series from America, and I always wanted to go to college. That's a funny story as well. Before I swear.
Well, now we got to know which movies you actually watched about college, because it's I don't know if it was painted the correct picture of American college. But keep going. We want to hear the story.
Normally, it's not about soccer. It's always about football or basketball, and how like all American, One Tree Hill,
Friday Night Lights.
Yes. I love those. So I was always like, I want to go to college. I want to go to school there. And it was funny. Before I signed in Dortmund in the second team, there was a club who played in the 4th league, but they was not professional. They were not professional. And I was 19 at that time. And I thought, okay, after that year, if nothing comes up, I'm going to go to America, and I want to go to college there, and maybe someone there will see me, and I will go to the MLS or get drafted or something. I wanted to go that way. But after that year, I scored against Dortmund in both games. And I had like 8 or 9 goals in that year, or 7, 8 or 9. I don't know. I don't remember. And then they signed me. So then this America thing was not working out for me.
That is cool, because you often hear that, America is like an afterthought for those. A lot of our listeners have been, they're very educated about the way soccer works outside of America, because the average American doesn't really understand the world of soccer. But we're fortunate here. Knoxville fans, they're very knowledgeable. And so, usually it's like, hey, I couldn't get a pro contract in Europe, so I'm going to go to America, where the coaches are all European, and they'll set me up. I'll play a couple of years, and then I'm going to head right back to Europe, or South America or wherever. But you actually had this American dream of coming to America.
Yes.
Who cares about the soccer? I just want to live the One Tree Hill Friday Night Lights life.
I wanted that. Yeah, I wanted that. But then of course, I was not going to college anymore. Now, for me, it was like, this chance came up to play here, and my agent said, I know that you can play higher. I know that you can play higher, but it's difficult if the whole country doesn't know you. And then they said, okay, go to the USL League One, have a good year, and then we'll see what happens. And I was like, yeah, no problem. To prove myself, it was never a problem on the pitch. So I was like, let's do it. Of course, I had to talk to my girlfriend first. It was because I mean it's another continent, so there was a little bit of a discussion first, but now everything is fine. Yeah, so now I'm just happy to be here, to be honest, and now everything is working out like I wanted. But I thought I have to do that because maybe in the future I will regret that I will not never be here. Yeah,
that's great. And we're not going to mention it on the podcast because we stick to the football. But just so our listeners know, we are educated about these things, and so Kempes's girlfriend has her own fame of her own. She's also a very famous person like him, and it's on Wikipedia, so you can look it up there. But we're not going to talk about that here. We're going to talk about football. So how was it? So Knoxville is a long way from New York, Los Angeles, Miami. Our closest MLS city is Nashville, which I'm sure, national people know about it internationally. I listened to an interview where you talked about you came to America and your first couple of days in Knoxville, somebody bought you groceries and you were like, wow, that was really nice. What have your impressions been of the city and of the people here and of the culture here?
It's just so nice. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to Germany. I told that my girlfriend as well. I told that my mom, and she was a little bit sad, but she understands. Because to be honest, the people in Europe, especially in Germany, if you've been here and you go back there, it's just two different worlds. Like the people here, the lifestyle here everything is so, so friendly. Sometimes I think it's fake, but it's not, because I'm from Europe. So sometimes I think that's not possible how friendly, how welcome the culture is. I think that's a big part why I am so good, or why everything works out for me on the pitch, because I feel so welcomed everywhere, not just in the team. Like you said, the first day or the second day here, just we call them grandma and grandpa now. They just bought us $350 grocery. And when they say, no, you don't have to give that back, it's like, how do they say that? It's like pay in advance or something. They call
forward.
It like that.
Paying it forward.
So she said, in the future, when someone comes to your city, you have to do that for him. And, it's just, I'm just happy to be here. And, I can't describe it, but I didn't do anything like differently in Europe. But if you're in a place where you're happy and you go to training sessions, you go to the gym, you do the same stuff, but with a different mentality, everything is better, and everything is like in flow. It's like in rhythm. And that's how I feel about Knoxville. So I'm really happy that I started here and not like a big city like New York or something, because I think that would be too much for me. But the impressions here are also a lot, because everything is bigger, the cars are bigger, the portion, the food is bigger, everything is different. But I like it. Yeah, I like it very much.
Kempes, you are experiencing Southern hospitality. So yes,
that's what I heard as well.
You are correct to not assume that everything will apply when you go to New York or Miami or LA. So
it was like that for me here too. I moved here from New Jersey, and I grew up in an immigrant town. Everyone was from somewhere else. So like, my cousins would ask me about America, and I'd be like, I don't know. The America I know is full of Polish people and Mexicans and Pakistani people. It's not like what you watch on TV. And then I moved to Tennessee, and I'm like, this is the TV America. This is what everyone thinks America's like. And I remember my first day here, I was driving my car, and everybody was just like waving at me. And I was like, what in the, like, I was like, is something wrong with my car? Like, is my headlight out or something? And they're just like, no, they just wave. They're just nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's insane. Yeah.
So, you came into a team that struggled for goals really badly last season. Like, I think, Jay Keegan was our leading goal scorer. I think he scored 6 or 7 goals. Ilya, now interim coach, was in there, and I think he only played half the season because he was injured. The team was really solid defensively. I think we had the best or the second best defensive record in the league, and we were the second worst in terms of goals. Then team goes out and buys you. They buy Innocent and Shuti, who Patty and I recently had a conversation with. Innocent, for those of you who are listening, Rwanda is actually playing qualifiers for the Africa Cup of Nations right now. We're recording on the 9th. Their game is on the 10th against Nigeria, so you'll know the result by then. But 2 really big name forwards to come into the U.S. Third Division.
And he scored last game. For him.
Yeah, he scored against Libya. For anyone it's on YouTube. BN Sports has a recap on YouTube for anybody who wants to watch it. But you bring in these two number 9s to kind of complement Rodolfo Castro, who came back, Gio Calixto, who plays a little bit out wide naturally, but was also in that forward line. And you mentioned you play with the number 10. You mentioned that you've played as a 10 and as an 8. For our listeners, 10 is usually that creative attacking midfielder, usually left-sided, left-footed. 8 is like an Alexis McAllister, kind of like a right-sided midfielder. But you play, and when I watch you play, and when I've seen your clips, like, you are number 9 to me. You're, big, strong, good in the air. You take corner kicks for some reason, which I would never expect a guy of your size to take them. I would expect you to be in the box for them. But fitting into this team and fitting into American soccer, especially in the 3rd division, what's that been like for you as a footballer? What have the adjustments been like? What has it been like, just on the field?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the soccer here is very different than Europe. It's like more athletic, it's more running, and that was the first what coach told me when he said he wants me, that I have to prepare for running, because normally when I played in Europe, there's a lot of tactics. You don't have to do every way back. You can cheat a little bit without the ball. But here it's not the case. You have to work for every ball. You have to go back. You have to, of course, you have to defend. That's why we are so good right now as well. And then, of course, I had to do my job. My job is scoring goals. But, like Mark told me, it was a very nice conversation with him. He told me that I have to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, because when you're comfortable in the uncomfortable, then you get better. And that was a great point. He said, with the ball, there's nothing he can tell me. I can be creative. I can do whatever I want, but against the ball, he wants me to do the job. He wants me to cover ground. And that was the biggest point. The biggest difference than in Europe or in Luxembourg, where I was last year. But I think I adapted very quickly. He said I always give the players from Europe like 6 games to adapt. That's normally the case. But I said, I'm going to be quicker. I want to be quicker. And it worked out very well. I came in a team where nobody was scoring goals. But it was my job. So I felt very, very comfortable, to be that man, or me and Shuti. And I always loved a little bit of, what is it called? A little bit of,
competition, friendly competition.
Friendly competition. I always loved that. And when I saw in preseason that Shuti scored the first game when he came here, I was like, okay, that's the competition I had. He's a great, great player. But, of course I came here to play. And I think, this competition between me and him, I mean, we, privately, we love each other. It's, everything is fine. He's a very, very good guy. But of course on the pitch, sometimes there's no friends, and everyone is fighting for his spot. So I think, there was a good competition with him as well now.
So Mark McKeever's style of football, he describes his formations in a couple of different ways to us. But, for most people watching it on the field, you have the 3 center backs, the 2 wing backs, 2 holding midfielders, and then you have the kind of like an attacking midfielder. We don't have like a truly creative midfielder really besides Frank Ross. And then, we've had 2 number 9s in the past. We've played with 1 number 9. It's shifted a little bit. You have kind of been in that number 9 position, right at the very top of the attack. Is that where you feel the most comfortable, or seeing that number 10? Are you like, hey, if they put me behind and shooty, if I'm playing from further back, you are left-footed, so you bring that kind of unique element to the way that you run on the field and shoot the ball. But are you in the position that you want to be in right now, or do you feel like you're more dynamic than just a number 9?
I feel very comfortable as the number 9 because I can do the dirty work, let's say, from a striker, like holding the ball, being like a wall for the players, just playing the ball back again and then go to the box. Of course, I love the ball on my feet as normally, but I adapt to every coach. Like the last coach I had, he said, you are number 9, but you can do whatever you want. You can take the ball from the center back if you want to. But if the winger is through, I want you in the box. That's the only thing I want from you. But this coach now, Mark, he says, I want you to stay high. I want you to stay high and I want 10 to go on the ball. And I was like, okay, if that's what I have to do, I will adapt. And it's less work for me. I can stay in the box and wait for the balls to come to me. But as well, if you're not having so many touches in the game, it's difficult sometimes to come in the game. Then you have to do like a simple passes first and stuff like this. But I think the most important part is for me to adapt to every style of the coach. And when you can do that, then nothing is impossible. You can get comfortable everywhere. For me, personally, I think, of course, the team is an aspect as well. How the team plays, how your teammates play. There's a big aspect as well. How you adapt to your teammate. Because when I look at, let's say, Stewie, he plays left. When he's through, I know where the ball comes. I know he's crossing. I have to be in the box. When there's Castro behind me, I know he wants to play the 1-2s. He's like this player. Then when there's, Gio always crossing the quick crosses. He has like a very good cross and a lot of tempo, like a lot of pace on the ball. Then there's like Frankie. He is more creative. And when you can adapt to those players, first of course you have to study those players. But if you adapt to him, you can play wherever you want. It's just where the coach wants you, where he needs you. You have to do your role, but then adapt to your teammates as well.
Yeah, that chemistry, which is so important. It's so hard to build also when you've got players in and out of the team. And I want to ask you about the big transition that came a few games ago with the departure of Mark McKeever. He and the club parted ways, and now Ilya Illich, who played for One Knoxville last season, he was also kind of a protege of McKeever, had played for him in college. He's taken the reins. Visibly on Saturday, watching the game, kind of a different approach from Ilya. He sits a lot. He doesn't do a lot of talking or yelling in comparison to Mark, who would kind of walk up and down the sideline and was doing a lot of communication with the referee, with the players. Has the transition in coaches affected you at all, whether that's the team in the locker room or feel it playing with more pressure, less pressure? Has there been a change that's come with that coaching transition?
Of course, it was a little change, but positive for the team. I think now every player has to help Ilya because, it's his first season as a second coach, and now he's the first coach. Like he told us, I need your help, boys. I need your help. I'm not ready for that normally now. Just been half the season and then I'm the first coach now. So now everyone is helping Ilya being more professional, talking more, communicating about every step what we're doing. But the approach, of course, we can't change the whole formation now, or we can't change how we play now. It would have made no sense because the whole season went good for us till now. We are in a good spot. So the base, what we built, we keep the base the same. Maybe there's a little change of how we press in. We are not sitting back that crazy anymore. We have more ball possession now with Ilya. That's what I think is very, very good. That's what he adapted very quickly. And he said that he wants us to press sometimes more than we did with Mark. That was a slight change, just a little, but the base we just have to keep the same. And, of course, the big players like, or the players who has more to say in the club, has to step up now. And that's what they're doing. And everyone is listening. Everyone is adapting, and everyone has their ego by their side to help the team, because Ilya told us nobody is on our side now. Everyone wants this change of coaches, to take advantage. They want to take advantage of that and want to beat us. But I think we reacted very good, on the pitch and off the pitch as well.
Yeah, in terms of the football, I think since Mark left that first game, I've commented it to Patty. One Knoxville had never had a game last season or at the beginning of the season scoring more than 2 goals. And that first game was the 4-1 win against the Red Wolves, which you scored in twice.
Which is the best opponent to score against.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
multiple goals. That's a really good one.
There is a long history with the Chattanooga Red Wolves, and part of that, Patty is actually from Chattanooga, Chattanooga FC supporter. That's the original Chattanooga club. So it's always great to see them lose. And then the tie against Spokane, the win against Tormenta, and then the draw against Charlotte Independent. So the results have been really good since the changing coaches. I have so many questions I want to ask you, Kempes, but I want to be respectful not just of your time, but also of the fact that Patty has some trivia, the return of Know Your Knox Trivia that we're going to get started with in a second. So the last question I want to ask you about, I've seen some things about you that have made me curious. Pulled you up on YouTube. I see that you had a little bit of a time of being a streamer and playing some FIFA or some Football Manager.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. That's cool. I know you've got a lot of style. Seen you, on Instagram, looking smooth, dressing nice with the cool, all the cool stuff, the Range Rover and the ear. I want to talk to you about style, but the thing that I really want to ask you about is the goal celebration, because we've seen it a lot. We want to see it a lot more times, and the closest I can think of is Pablo Dybala, the Argentinian who now plays for Roma. He has a similar celebration as what you do. I pulled up your videos, and from, back years ago in 2020, you were doing the same celebration. What is it? What is that you do after you score a goal?
The celebrations from Dybala. I just love Dybala. Of course, my first player is always Messi. Messi is my favorite player. But then the second player is Dybala, and I just like his celebration. I just like how he plays. It's similar to Messi, of course, not as good as Messi, but I love those players who are a little bit underrated. I think he's underrated, and he's just a great player, and I just love the celebration. And the last one I do when I put the selfie is just because of my good friend. He's like my brother. He won against me in, was it FIFA 12 or FIFA 14? I don't remember. He won against me in one game in FIFA, since we know each other. And then he took my picture when I was young and made a selfie with it. And with it was just random. And I have that picture till now. And I thought, okay. And when I signed in Dortmund, he came with me to the signature, and he was doing this celebration and put in a selfie. And he said, you remember when I beat you at FIFA? I did a selfie as well. So that was the history. And I just make that because he's my brother. Yeah.
That's really, man, we are
That's awesome.
big fans of FIFA here. Actually, the hardest thing about like growing up and having a family is that I don't have time to play FIFA anymore. I don't even have a system anymore. I probably spent most of my time in college. You watch Friday Night Lights and all that stuff. I wasn't doing any of that. I was playing FIFA like every night.
Yeah, I was playing FIFA as well. I like a lot of FIFA. That's why I stream as well. Like I couldn't bring my whole setup here. If I could, I think I would stream from here as well. I'm just having fun playing video games. And, I mean, we have a lot of time after training sessions and after games. There's just the gym, what I have to do for myself. But then I have a lot of time and I love to stream. I love to play video games. I love to, chat to my boys in Germany, playing pro clubs. Oh my God, it's so much fun. But I can't do that anymore, like that much, because the whole streaming setup is in Germany. Just my girlfriend brought me my PlayStation 5 here and I'm playing by myself. Now I play a little bit of NBA as well. But yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's great, man. I'm glad, I'm glad that you answered that. And probably there's going to be a lot of One Knoxville fans now that are going to want to play you in FIFA. But
all the Scruffs want to play him. They have their own tournament.
We had a tournament. I won that tournament. Yeah, I won that tournament.
All right, there you go. So what's funny, I think people don't. I'm always looking for coincidences, but you know what's funny coincidence? Paulo Dybala is also Polish ancestry. I think his grandfather, great grandfather's Polish, and so before the Argentinian national team called him up, Poland was trying to do the paperwork to get him to play for Poland. But then, of course,
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
So look at that. I mean, Dybala, Tekiela, you're named after Mario Kempes. Paulo Dybala, he scored a goal the other day against Chile, the third goal. And like you said, Dybala is one of those players who is kind of overlooked. He hasn't had a spot in the national team. He plays off the bench a lot in the national team, comes on, scores a beautiful goal. So I hope we have many, as much joy as Messi and Dybala have brought you. That's the kind of joy that you're bringing to us as soccer fans here, and so we hope we get much more.
Really appreciate that.
Also, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a painting of Messi right behind me. As our good friend, listener, and One Knoxville fan, Sean Slate, painted a picture of Messi for me after Argentina won the World Cup. So, now, without further ado, Patty, I'm transitioning back to you because you have some very special trivia. For our listeners, you will see Kempes again on the field, One Knoxville, Friday, September 13th against Lexington. They will be on the road, so you'll have to watch on ESPN+. The next home game is going to be on October 1st against Forward Madison, our good friends Forward Madison, the Flamingos, one of the funnest teams in the league. So September 13th, this upcoming Saturday against Lexington, then we'll have to wait a little while, but we'll get him back home against Madison in October. Patty, take it away.
All right. Kempes, are you ready for some Knoxville trivia?
Yes.
All right. So I had 3 questions, and then I rewrote the last question because of something you told me. I'll get it to you here in a second. All right. Mm-hmm. Question number 1. What does the SC stand for in One Knoxville SC?
Sporting Club.
Nice. Yes, Sporting Club. Great job. Jamesy got that one as well. Just
a lot of people think soccer club, but you know, we've heard different reasons. Drew McKenna, the owner, has told us before. It's like, well, it's Sporting Club because we hopefully want to offer a lot more sports in the future. Then we've also heard it's because a long time ago in the old city where the stadium's going to be, they had these places called sporting clubs where men would go hang out. So we don't know, but it is Sporting Club.
All right, Knoxville has been named the Marble City. Where did this come from? We got multiple choice here. A, from the marble, little toys, glass spheres, children toys, factories that used to be in town. From the pink marble stone quarries in town, or from the famous marble brewery located in the heart of downtown?
I would say the brewery.
The brewery?
I would say, I don't know, to be honest.
So it's the marble stone quarries in town, and last year they did a third kit, the pink third kit, looked like little marble veins.
Okay.
So if you see the pink,
I remember.
if
I
you see,
saw
if
it
you
on
see the
yesterday.
pink jerseys,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. That's
Yeah.
pink.
Oh,
The pink marble.
okay.
Knoxville and Tennessee are famous for it. So, all right. And
Okay. I
rewrote,
mean, I learn every day. I learn something new in America.
exactly. I rewrote the last question, and you'll see why. So, Knoxville is home to the University of Tennessee Volunteers from the Volunteer State. How did that nickname came to be? And your hint is Friday Night Lights Dillon Panthers is just an hour away from where this nickname came from. And you can make something up.
Balls.
Yeah, the Vols.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you. I don't want to. I don't want to waste your time. Did James, you know that?
No, James didn't know that. I just made this one especially for you. So it's the Battle of the Alamo. So Texas, the War of Texas Independence. All these troops volunteered to go down from Tennessee down to help our Texas brethren. And a famous Tennessean called Davy Crockett. He's the guy, the coonskin cap runs around with a rifle. So you got it all. You got Vols, Volunteer State, Davy Crockett, orange and white, all that stuff. All wrapped up into San Antonio, Texas, right down the road from Dillon Panthers. So
okay, good to know. I mean,
and it is beautiful. I've been to the spot of the Alamo in San Antonio, and it is really nice. But when you see Kempes, when you see anybody wearing a coonskin cap with that tail in the back, running around like crazy, that is all a testament to Davy Crockett and the Alamo. I got in trouble because one time I saw somebody wearing that. I was like, "Who's that? Is that Daniel Boone?" And my wife is from here. She's a Knoxville hillbilly through and through. She's like, "Are you serious? Do you not know this history?" I was like, "No, I don't know."
Yeah, how should I know that? Yeah. I'm just here on top of you. Give me time.
You're learning, like you said, you're learning something new every day, Kempes, and we're so thankful for you coming on the pod for us to learn about you as well as your career and just where you've started at in One Knox and where you're going to go. We're so excited for you to be here and just continue to score those goals and move up to bigger and better things.
Hey, Kempes, you know you are not the first German to play for our club, right? Did you know this?
Yeah, I think last year was one about like a midfielder or something. I heard
he was he played as a wingback a lot of the time for us. He didn't get a lot of playing time here. I liked him a lot, though I don't know that he fit the system that Mark McKeever played. But Jan-Erik Leinhos, which he was. I had a conversation with him, and he told me he's from Hoffenheim. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." You know, I love when I meet somebody who's not a Bayern Munich fan because he's like, "Oh no, I'm a Bayern Munich fan." It's like, how are you going to be?
I'm a Bayern Munich fan as well. Yeah.
What are you doing, Kevin? Your poor father. Think about your dad.
I mean, this year he was very happy, huh?
Hey, and then you've got Ezequiel Palacios, the Argentinian at Leverkusen too. So I'm always happy when Argentinians do well. And then right down the road, we had another German our first year as a club, Yannick Kranz, who some of our fans will remember. He actually lived your dream. He came and did college in America. He was at Carson Newman University, which is less than an hour drive from Knoxville, and played with us, scored some goals, and then he finished out college, and I don't know where he went, but third time's a charm, I guess, when it comes to the Germans here in Knoxville. So,
I'm just the third player, yeah?
I believe you are German number 3.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope I'm being the best one now. From those 3.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's bagging all those goals.
Exactly. It's been fun to watch you up top. I think that's where the team has struggled most in 2 years, really defining that number 9 role and having creative players, attacking players who, you know, like you mentioned, Rodolfo Castro, who has played as a number 9, can play as a number 9, but has other ways that he contributes to the team. And then just having that player who, like, doesn't matter how the ball goes in, if it's off a PK, if it's off a deflection, like, you know, the number 9,
a goal is a goal.
A goal is a goal, you know, and you've been able to come and do that for us. So thanks for joining us on the Knox Soccer Podcast today. We wish you luck ahead of Saturday's game against Lexington, and hope to see many more great moments as we head into the playoffs. We are in prime playoff contention this season.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me as well. It was very fun, to be honest. And I hope to see you in person. You can just hit me up, like when we are at this with the kids signing. Just come say hello. I would.
We will be there.
I would be happy.
So my plan was to be there, Kempes, for that. I have 3 small kids. I was chasing them all around. And actually, I don't know if any of you heard this. It was like in the 88th minute, there were a bunch of yellow jackets, a bunch of bees that had some kids had stepped on a yellow jacket nest. All these bees came out and they were stinging all of these little kids. So yeah, it was all happening on the side. So all these little kids were running around, and I told my kids, I was like, all right, we're gonna get out of here. we're not gonna wait around.
But next time, I hope to see you in person.
Next time we'll get rid of the yellow jackets, and we will be there. Okay, Patty, I think that's all we got for today. Is that right?
That's correct. That's all we got for you today on the Knox Soccer Podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, be sure to sign up for our newsletter at knoxsoccerpodcast.com. Huge thanks to Markman Jewelers for sponsoring the podcast. Be sure to show them some love. And with that, we'll see you in the stands.